Today at 6, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party, resigns after being charged with rape and other historical sexual offences. He's been leader of the DUP since 2021 and is Northern Ireland's longest-serving Westminster MP. Also tonight, an uneasy calm in Jerusalem over Easter and Ramadan, while conditions remain desperate in Gaza. Great bank holiday getaway, and it's been slow progress for many by road, rail and ferry. And the world of mammals. The latest David Attenborough series looks at how many species are adapting. Good evening. Politics in Northern Ireland have been thrown into turmoil with the news that the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, has resigned after being charged with rape and other historical sexual offences. He was arrested yesterday along with a 57-year-old woman who's been charged with aiding and abetting in connection with the alleged offences. They will appear in court next month. Sir Geoffrey, who is Northern Ireland's longest-serving MP at Westminster, says he will strenuously contest the charges. Jennifer O'Leary reports.
Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, a leader who just weeks ago returned his party to power sharing at Stormont. Today, his political career appears to be over. In a statement, his party announced his resignation, confirming that he's been charged with allegations of an historical nature. BBC News understands he's been charged with rape and multiple other sexual offences as part of a police investigation spanning months after two women came forward. In a letter to his party, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson said he will be strenuously contesting the charges. The DUP's new interim leader is MP Gavin Robinson.
I think it's been a devastating revelation and has caused tremendous shock, not just for myself personally or my colleagues within the DUP, but for the community right across Northern Ireland. It came as a great shock. But we are a party and individuals that believe in justice. We have faith in our criminal justice system.
Sir Geoffrey Donaldson is long known for his unyielding defence of the Union.
And now what do you do in return for that? You throw me out of the forum to which I was elected by the...
His reputation was forged in opposition to the Good Friday Agreement.
I've got the framework document here. That's what we think of the framework document. Geoffrey, how are you, man?
Today is not his first political exit.
With regret, I have resigned from the Ulster Unionist Party.
His defection to a rival party eventually led him to the leadership of the DUP. But he now stands apart from the party he steered back into power sharing. In a statement, First Minister Michelle O'Neill said her priority is to continue to provide the leadership the public expect and deserve. Northern Ireland has form when it comes to political earthquakes, but today's development leaves a fissure in unionism at a time when some see it under increasing threat from those who want a united Ireland. For now, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson's party political days look firmly in the past. Jennifer O'Leary, Belfast.
Well, in a moment we'll speak to Damien Grammaticus, who's in Westminster for us. But first to our Ireland correspondent, Sarah Girvan, who's at Stormont this evening. And Sarah, the new DUP leader, expressing everybody's shock at this news.
Yeah, it has been a massive shock, Rita. I mean, Northern Ireland is no stranger to political twists and turns, we know that. But what has happened today has been a political earthquake, and the shockwaves of that are being felt across this place. You know, it was only a matter of months ago that devolved government returned to Stormont here in Belfast, and that was because under Sir Geoffrey Donaldson's leadership of the DUP, the party pulled out of power sharing, collapsing those institutions for 2 years in protest at post-Brexit trading arrangements. And it was under his leadership again that they came back to power sharing. And though not everyone in his party was happy about that at the time, it has been a tumultuous few years for the DUP. There's no doubt about that. And this evening, it's a party in disarray. Now, there will be a focus after the Easter break on making sure that the aftershocks of what has happened are not felt too keenly here. There'll be a plea for the DUP to look outside the party and focus on the bigger picture and on the stability of power sharing. And this evening, the new interim leader of the DUP, Gavin Robinson, says that is the case and that is his focus.
And Damien, in Westminster, what's the immediate fallout there from what's happened?
Well, Rita, I can tell you this was as much a bolt out of the blue here in Westminster as it was in Northern Ireland. I understand that Downing Street had no advance notice that Mr Donaldson was going to resign, no advance notice even that there was any sort of investigation happening. And today Downing Street will only say that it won't comment on what is a live investigation. But that power sharing arrangement in Northern Ireland is key for the government here because of its central role in stability in Northern Ireland, the setup there since the Good Friday Peace Agreement. Now, Rishi Sunak, when he became Prime Minister, made it a priority to restore power sharing. And usually the government here acts as a sort of neutral broker between the parties in Northern Ireland. Unusually in this case, Mr Sunak dealt pretty much in that time with the concerns of one party, the DUP, and particularly one person, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson. So he made 7 trips to Northern Ireland to get that back up and running. The key thing for Downing Street now is what happens going forward and the fact that they want the DUP leadership to stay committed to that. The concern here is that any turbulence in Northern Ireland is a concern for London.
Damien and also Sarah, thank you both very much. The Metropolitan Police says it's continuing its investigation into potential offences linked to the Post Office over the Horizon IT scandal. After the BBC revealed the company was told about flaws in its accounting system in 2017. More than 900 sub-postmasters were wrongly prosecuted. Some politicians and former sub-postmasters want Scotland Yard to widen its investigation to take the new evidence into account. The force said it has interviewed 2 people under caution. Our business correspondent Mark Ashdown reports.
The police have been investigating the Horizon scandal for 4 years, but just 2 people have been questioned under caution. As the public inquiry continues to unfold, one MP who sits on the Compensation Advisory Board thinks detectives should widen their net.
People can't hide behind the public inquiry. I think the police now need to start looking, scoping this investigation, look at the individuals that have been named and some that haven't, to see what they knew and why they took this course of action.
Around 900 sub-postmasters were wrongly prosecuted up to 2015, accused of theft and false accounting. The BBC has uncovered a secret report commissioned by the Post Office 2 years later in 2017. Compiled by Deloitte, it found that Fujitsu employees had the ability to amend or delete transactions entered by branch staff. There would be no flag to postmasters and it could lead to shortfalls in branch accounts. The Post Office then spent £100 million of public money defending itself in court against sub-postmasters who said they'd been wrongly prosecuted. David Enright has represented many of them.
We're about to take the unprecedented step of quashing the convictions of 800 people. And despite this, not a single person has been charged, let alone prosecuted. The Metropolitan Police have been conducting an investigation for the last 4 years. But where's the action?
A group of more than 500 sub-postmasters and mistresses won their first court case against the Post Office back in 2019. Janet Skinner was one of them. She was jailed in 2007.
555 of us that went to that court case, they could have prevented that and they could have saved a lot of time, money and tears.
The Metropolitan Police first started looking into the Post Office and Fujitsu back in January 2020. An investigation into potential offences of perjury and perverting the course of justice is ongoing. And the Met told us today it continues to monitor the evidence being heard by the public inquiry. Both the Post Office and Fujitsu said they were deeply sorry for the impact the scandal has had on the victims and their families. Mark Ashdown, BBC News.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has agreed to send officials to Egypt and to Qatar in the coming days for a new round of talks on a ceasefire in Gaza. It comes a day after the UN's top court, the International Court of Justice, ordered Israel to allow the unimpeded flow of food aid into Gaza, where sections of the Palestinian population are said to be facing imminent starvation. In Jerusalem, there is an uneasy calm as Palestinians mark Easter and Ramadan. From there, our international editor, Jeremy Bowen, now reports.
In Jerusalem, where tension and worse are normal, there is always the consolation of religion. This Ramadan, many of those ending a day of prayer at the Aqsa Mosque were Palestinian Israelis, around a fifth of Israel's population. Israel, citing security, restricts access to Jerusalem for Palestinians from the occupied West Bank. Just down the road, Palestinian Christians were deep in their celebration of Easter, walking to the old city from the Garden of Gethsemane, where they believe Jesus prayed on the night before he was crucified. But in this city, sacred for Christians, Jews, and Muslims, religion and politics always mix.
All the Palestinian people are suffering today. They're suffering from occupation, they're suffering from apartheid, they're suffering from genocide. And today what we are praying is to stop these disaster situation here in the land of peace, in the land of Palestine. And we pray that as Jesus went to the Golgotha, to the Calvary, walking with the cross, but after that there was the resurrection, so we are praying to have our own resurrection today and the resurrection of our land.
Religion and conflict pervade Jerusalem, and 6 months of war in Gaza have deepened every division.
This is the essence of Jerusalem: religion, faith, and the passion it can generate. But in this city, religion has been linked inextricably with power and with identity for centuries, for millennia, and in more recent times, with the long conflict between Palestinians and Israelis.
Since October, reinforced and highly visible Israeli security has imposed an uneasy quiet on the occupied eastern side of Jerusalem. The Good Friday procession along Via Dolorosa, where Christians believe Jesus carried his cross, was smaller than usual without foreign pilgrims who cancelled their trips because of the war. The people of Jerusalem, of all faiths, are locked in a crisis as bad as any since Israel's independence war in 1948. Religion offers certainty and answers, but in this holy city, prayers and peace plans have not put a dent in this immutable conflict. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Ferries at Dover have been delayed due to rough weather on the first day of the Easter getaway. Traffic on some motorway routes has been described as horrendous, and Network Rail has urged train passengers to check their journey details because of engineering work. Well, our correspondent Helena Wilkinson is at St Pancras Station in central London for us now. Pretty hard conditions for a lot of people, Helena.
Yes, Rita, it was always going to be a busy weekend given the bank holiday and what is the start of the Easter break for many school children. Here at St Pancras Station, we've been inside. It's really busy, lots of passengers travelling to Europe by Eurostar for the Easter break. And on top of that, you've got passengers who would normally use Euston Station. That's one of the UK's busiest stations, using replacement services here. That's because that station is largely closed through till Easter Monday. In Dover, the port is busy too. It's taking around 2 hours to process vehicles, to get them onto ferries, but some people on social media saying it's taking much longer. And on the roads as well, problems too, especially for drivers going to Cornwall and Devon. The RAC has described conditions for them as pretty horrendous.
Helena, thank you. The former Wales rugby star Louis Rees-Zammit has signed for the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. The 23-year-old stunned the world of rugby in January when he quit the sport on the eve of this year's Six Nations tournament to pursue a career in American football. Our sports correspondent Adam Wilde reports.
For Louis Rees-Zammit, this was about taking a chance on a new sport. Now that sport is taking a chance on him. A giant leap into the unknown. Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champions, is where he's landed. Today, another big step closer to the NFL dream.
Kansas City Chiefs is really kind of the ideal team for him to be joining. And I suppose if he impresses there, then there's every reason to believe that he could actually play in games during the regular season as well.
Lewis Rees-Zammit for the try.
Not so long ago, Rees-Zammit was one of rugby union's brightest stars, young, quick and crucially unpredictable. All the skills that brought the Welsh superstar to the attention of American football.
We're learning a lot within 10 weeks and, that's the most important thing because we're playing catch-up on kids who've played since they were 8 years old. I've been a massive fan since I was a kid. My dad brought me up to love the games. When I've been watching it as a fan, obviously know the rules, I know a lot about the game, but when you dive deep into it, I think that's the interesting bit and, I'm excited to keep learning football.
He's impressed sufficiently at recent trials to now earn his place in the Chiefs training camp. There is, though, a distance still to run.
So 90-man squad, and then he'll go obviously to our OTAs, which is kind of like your educational piece, and you get to meet everybody in the team, and it's like classroom all the time. This is an opportunity for him to learn, and then you go away, you come back in training camp in late July. That is going to be the hardest thing that he's going to have to go through because the hours, the time, the stress on your body, there is a lot that's coming for this young man. But if he has the mindset that it sounds like he does have, and that will to learn and be curious, then he will be all right.
Rees-Zammit sprints in the footsteps of the likes of Christian Wade. He swapped international rugby for American football back in 2018. An impressive start, but failed to make a regular season appearance. Whilst British Olympic discus thrower Lawrence Okoye spent time with a number of franchises, but also never appeared in the NFL. Rees-Zammit will be joining the very best there is. The Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions. But there is just a short time to learn the skills that others have spent a lifetime perfecting. Almost 50% of those selected for this next stage won't ultimately make the playing squad. But for Rees-Zammit, halfway around the world, it seems he is at least halfway there. Adam Wilde, BBC News.
This Sunday, David Attenborough returns to our screens with his latest series, Mammals. 5 years in the making. It explores how the world's mammals are coping with rapidly changing habitats and warming climates. Esme Stallard reports.
There are more than 6,000 species of mammals on Earth. And as our world changes, so must they.
This latest Attenborough series captures new mammal behaviours on film for the first time as they adapt to a world dominated by the most successful mammal of all, us.
Humans have changed 3/4 of the Earth's surface. We're changing the world in so many different ways, and animals are having to adapt in real time. It's essentially evolution in action.
We see otters navigating the busy streets of Singapore, polar bears filmed for the first time hunting reindeers inland as the sea ice rapidly melts, and howler monkeys mistaking live electrical wires for tree branches. There are some sad realities in this series, but also some successes.
He picks them off one by one.
Pig-tailed macaques in Malaysia have found a way to survive in a new habitat.
They've started coming into palm oil plantations, which were apparently devoid of life. But these palm oil plantations have been completely overrun by rats. And these pigtail macaques were predominantly vegetarian. Now they're adapting to coming into these plantations and starting to eat rats. They're becoming carnivorous. It shows you what sort of pressure these animals are under. They're having to do such extreme behavioural changes.
Recent advances in camera technology means new nighttime sequences could be captured. In one episode, we see the nocturnal life of a fennec fox filmed entirely by moonlight.
Those enormous ears are so sensitive, they could even hear the movements of prey hiding underground.
The series is a celebration of mammals, how remarkable they are, how adaptable they are. But I suppose the message behind it is that we are mammals ourselves, so let's find a way to share this planet with all the mammals.
And like all Attenborough series, it provides us with some inspiration of how we can protect these species. Esme Stallard, BBC News.
Time for a look at the weather now. Here's Louise Lear. Louise.
Hi there, Rita. Well, in case you've forgotten, British summertime begins this weekend. I mean, the weather's not giving us any help hinting towards it, is it really? We've seen hail, we've seen snow, gale-force gusts of winds and very heavy rain. But we all lose an hour's sleep on Sunday. But I can offer you something a little bit more optimistic for this weekend's weather. Because, yes, we're going to see more in the way of sunshine, fewer showers around, and as a result, it will feel warmer. But there's a chance of more rain to come for some of us on Easter Monday. The reason why that quieter story, the low is starting to pull away and the ice bars are opening up, so the winds will fall lighter. Not a bad start for many on Saturday, and in fact, much of England and Wales will stay dry throughout the day. A few sharper showers well scattered across Northern Ireland and Scotland, and with those lighter winds, a little more sunshine, the temperatures will respond. We could see highs of 15 degrees. That'll feel quite nice. Sunshine's quite strong at this time of year, but those clear skies by day will lead to clear skies through the night. That's going to allow those temperatures to fall away, and in Scotland and northeast England we could see a touch of frost. It's going to be a chilly start to Easter Sunday, low single figures here. Some patchy fog around. Famous areas like Vale of York, Bedfordshire could see some dense fog in places. That will lift quite readily on Easter Sunday, and on the whole, again, not a bad day. It could be dry. There'll be some sunshine around. Just need to keep an eye on this cloud and rain down towards the Channel Isles and down to the Isles of Scilly and Cornwall. But on the whole, again, temperatures generally between 10 and 14 degrees. But the story is set to change from Easter Monday, not for all of us. Across England and Wales, we'll see that low bringing more in the way of wet weather. So the further north you go, it will be drier and sunny. Some rain to come on Easter Monday and then unsettled for much of next week. Rita.
Thank you, Louise. That is today's BBC News at 6. Now it's time to join our colleagues for the news where you are. Bye-bye.